Greetings, everyone. I am Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 23 of 31 can't miss albums that the world missed out on. It's kind of, when you think about it, this whole month, it's kind of, as much as it's fun talking about these records, it's almost sad in a way that we're talking about albums that had so much potential, that the band should have reaped the rewards on the great songs that they wrote on these records, and it didn't quite happen that way for various reasons. We've talked each and every day about, how record labels dropped the ball, how radio just missed out, and, whatever. Maybe the style of music was not really in with what was going on at the time, but would have a few years before or a few years after, right? Whatever the reason. But the great thing about looking back on this is, we can still enjoy this stuff today. Maybe if we didn't jump on it all those years ago, it's no better time than the present to do so, right? So hopefully you guys have discovered some new albums this month that maybe you didn't check out before, or if you are familiar with the ones that I'm talking about, going back and revisiting those. And a lot of you have picked some very cool ones in the comments on a daily basis. So let's get to today's pick for day 23. Happy birthday to my mother. My mother turns 83 today. So happy birthday, Mom. I'll be seeing her later. So you guys haven't seen Tala up here in a while, right? Tala. Hey. Come here. Look who's there. This is my husky Tala, who turned 12 back in March. She's an older girl now. Yeah, she's been hanging out with me this week in my office, keeping me company. So for today's pick, this is the sixth studio album by this British band, released September 26, 1986, recorded at Mountain Studios in Montreux, Switzerland, produced by Dave Richards and Roger Taylor. Yes, that Roger Taylor from Queen, for Polydor Records. I'm talking about Vigilante by Magnum. Saw a bunch of you talking about Magnum, was it yesterday or the day before, either in the chat or the comments, I forget where. And I've been planning on doing Magnum, covering them all month. But the challenge was, which Magnum album do I pick out? Because quite frankly, every one of their albums were can't miss albums. Especially here in North America. I never understood how the success of this band just completely escaped North America. And let's be frank, they weren't really huge anywhere. They did pretty well for themselves in the UK. But this band should have been enormous everywhere. And maybe they didn't quite have the look, right? Could be. But man, they had the songs. When you got a guy like the late great Tony Clarkin, guitar player and songwriter extraordinaire, writing just accessible rock songs, whatever you want to call these guys, pomp, AOR, melodic rock, hard rock. They dabbled in progressive rock too, but for the most part, this is just really strong melodic rock. I picked Vigilante because I think this was the album that really, it's hard to pinpoint, right? Because I think any of the three albums that came before it, or the four albums that came before it, you could say should have caught on here. They didn't really tour here at all. That probably had a lot to do with it, but still, it's like, I was listening to this morning because I had like three albums I was kind of looking at, and I was like, yeah, you know what, this just, considering what was selling big time in 1986, you listen to Vigilante, folks into Foreigner would love these guys, folks into Journey would love these guys, Survivor was doing bang-up business. There's no reason why an album like this shouldn't have been selling millions of copies here. There's hits all over it. Well, they weren't actually hits, but they should have been hits, right? It's adorned in that 80s sheen, right? That was going on with a lot of kind of more melodic rock mainstream stuff. But it's still plenty of gritty guitars, amazing vocals by Bob Catley. I don't get it. I just don't understand the whole Magnum story about, the more as time goes on, and I still listen to and enjoy all these old Magnum albums, and I'm kind of like, God, why did this not catch on here, right? Of course, the band, Bob Catley on vocals, one of the great unsung vocalists of the last 40 plus years. Tony Clarkin on guitar, Wally Lowe on bass, the great Mark Stanway on keyboards, and Mickey Barker on drums. So what do we have on this album? It's just everywhere you look, there are accessible, upbeat, anthemic, melodic rock AOR tracks. Lonely Night kicks it off. Killer song. Just grabs you right off the bat. And yeah, maybe there are a bit too much keyboards on this album, but I still think there's still plenty of guitars on here, and the songs are just so good. Again, this stuff is no worse than what you were getting from bands like Survivor and Foreigner at the time. I mean, it's just the truth of it all. Need a Lot of Love, great rocker. Sometime Love, Midnight You Won't Be Sleeping. It's a terrific, terrific track. One of my favorites on here. I mean, that should have, again, should have been all over MTV. Such a catchy chorus. Red on the Highway, kick-ass rocker. Holy Rider, another kick-ass rocker. When the World Comes Down, really, really good. And, even though, you have love in a lot of the titles, or a few of the titles here, this is not, like, stacked with ballads. These are all, like, up-tempo, enjoyable songs. Vigilante is killer. Total killer. And then you got Backstreet Kid. Backstreet Kid, you listen to it now, you're thinking, God, that could have been, like, in a movie. Like around the time a lot of these kind of teenage movies, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club and all that kind of stuff. I could totally see Backstreet Kid playing in one of these movies and being on the soundtrack. It's perfect for that. Absolutely perfect. Top to bottom, there's not a weak song on here. Everything is just highly enjoyable. And the songs are, 3, 4, 5 minutes long. Just as long as they need to be. Great vocals, great hooks, memorable, gritty guitars, lots of keys. Memorable, memorable, memorable songs. I don't get it. This band that should have been enormous. I can't stress it enough. All right, charts. German charts number 59. Swedish charts number 16. UK album charts made it to number 24. Respectable. Not one of their many, many albums, 20 some odd albums, did anything here in North America. Didn't chart. Nothing. Strange. Very strange. And even back home in the UK, like I said, this band did okay for themselves, but did not light up the charts there either, which is a real shame. Yeah, it's a shame. Vigilante entered the UK charts at number 24, made it to number 11 in the heavy metal charts. It's not a heavy metal album, folks. Yeah. Got released everywhere. Right, enjoyed a release in Japan, U.S., Canada, and also all over Europe. But yeah, the album cover art is a little on the sappy side. I mean, I love unicorns, don't get me wrong, but all the pink and everything like that. So they did not use Rodney Matthews for this album cover for whatever reason. It's not a bad album cover. It's just like I said, it's a little too softy. I mean, granted, like I said, I like unicorns, but it goes against like what some of their other albums look like with the Rodney Matthews album cover art. But still, a very, very enjoyable album that should have been really big here. So yeah, Vigilante by Magnum. Insert any Magnum album, folks. I just happened to pick this one today because I think this one again should have been massive. But you could pick on a Storyteller's Night. You can pick any of them. There's just so many. So many good ones. I almost picked the one after this, right? So it's just like, it's one of those bands that had all the tools, just didn't quite happen. Let us know what you think of Vigilante by Magnum down in the comments below, as well as your pick for today. And we'll see you tomorrow for day number 24. Coming up in just a little while, Martin Popoff and myself at the Funhouse, talking about our favorite productions from Chris Sangarides, who produced a whole slew of very strong heavy metal and hard rock and other things albums over the years. So we picked out our 10 favorites. That's coming up in just a little bit. We got the Professor's Picks with Ken Golden. New release day coming up this afternoon. Tomorrow, Jamie Laszlo and the review crew, and then 2 ranking the album shows. On Sunday, I will be doing Super Sister, the great Dutch prog band, and George Lamy will be doing Conception for all you progressive metal and power metal fans. We also, hopefully, we're trying to work it out today, should hopefully have 2 new episodes of Playlist Euphoria for you with myself and Lynn Versace. One will be a Beatles playlist, or 2 Beatles playlists, because we're each doing our own, for folks, 10 songs for those who are new to the Beatles and want to start putting together a playlist of Beatles songs as an introduction to the band. And then we're also going to be doing our 10 favorite, well, not necessarily favorite, but a playlist of 70s pop songs for driving around in the car. So another road trip playlist show, our second one of that. We're going to be doing lots of those, so stay tuned for more of those. So hopefully that's all coming up this weekend too. So till then, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.